Today we're going to cover how to easily solo floss the Prophecy Dungeon while playing on Hunter. And spoiler alert, it's super easy. Just before we get into the guide, if you ever need extra help or looking for more information, feel free to stop by the streams or join my Discord. There you can contact me easier and I can try to personally help you out. I just ask that you give me some time to respond since I might be busy. Anyways, let's get into the video. Starting off with our subclass. We're most likely going to run Solar, although really any subclass is viable. Out of all the subclasses, I'm going to recommend Solar or Arc, since they both have DPS supers and will help us secure 1 to 2 phase boss encounters. For this video's sake, we're going to go over Solar, but if you decide to run Arc, just remember that most likely your only healing is going to come from Assassin's Cowl and or Combination Blow. This means you're going to have to get pretty close to the enemies to stay alive. At the same time, if you're ever super low, you either have to sit still and take cover or risk it to try to get a Combination Blow hit off. In general, Solar is easier and more safe, so we're going to go over Solar. Back to the Solar subclass. We're going to be running Blade Barrage, since it's super easy to use and has great damage. Marksman Golden Gun or Celestial Nighthawk is super good too, so run whatever you like the best. I personally think Blade Barrage is better for the first boss, while Golden Gun is going to be better for the final boss, but I still use Blade Barrage for the whole run regardless. Another reason we're going to be running Solar is to have access to healing grenades, which will give us restoration. On top of all that, we're going to be running Assassin's Cowl to help keep us alive throughout all the encounters by giving us a chunk of HP and invisibility on melee kills or finishers. Just make sure that while we're running all this equipment, we prioritize having a Solar primary weapon on, so we can keep our restoration and radiant buffs up while using Ember of Empyrean. For the first encounter, we're going to be running Dragon's Breath and a good fusion rifle in our first slot, like Riptide or Scatter Signal. Then for our second slot, we're going to be using any Solar weapon, so we can keep our restoration and radiant buffs like I just mentioned. Our Solar weapon is also going to be used for making Orbs of Power with our Siphon mod on our helmet, which will make getting armor charges extremely easy. The only thing you have to worry about in this encounter is getting flung off the side of the map by the boss or blowing yourself up with Dragon's Breath. But if you stick with how I play later into the video, you should be completely fine. The second encounter is the same exact loadout, except I ran fixed odds instead of Dragon's Breath. This is a Solar LMG, which allows me to keep my restoration and radiant buff up, while killing the adds at ease. There's not much to say about this encounter, except make sure you don't let the Hobgoblin shoot you too rapidly, or you're going to lose a lot of your health. Also, make sure not to fall into the little cracks in the arena. Then for the final boss, I decided to swap to Leviathan's Breath to do damage from a decent range, but you could also run something like a Linear or a Rocket if you think that's better for you. I'll show you my Leviathan's Breath loadout later, and you can easily secure a 2-phase. This is also the encounter where if you want, you can try using Golden Gun with Celestial Nighthawk over Blade Barrage during the damage phase to try and 1-phase of the boss. In this encounter especially, you want to keep up on your restoration timers, because the ogres that spawn in after depositing can ruin your run if you're not careful, so make sure to kill them immediately. Besides that, make sure you don't die from not being inside the boss of the little ring that makes the debuff go down, because you have about a second or two grace period once it hits 10x, and then you instantly die. Alright, let's move on to my loadout setup and how I built my Hunter for this dungeon. And then we'll move straight into the phase examples so you can see exactly how I beat it. Alright guys, I wanted to go over the subclass first. I'm going to be running Blade Barrage for the entire thing. That's what the loadout will have as well. But for the final boss, if you want to run Golden Gun Marksman, you can as well. Swap the Celestial before it while you're falling down the hole. And get some easy damage off there. Up to you. I'm not going to show in the video though because I don't run it. We're going to be running Gambler's Dodge. You get our melee ability back when rolling near enemies. The jump's up to you. I like Knife Trick because Knife Trick, I think, is the best knife in general out of the rest of these. Very easy to use, very simple. I think it's pretty good. And then we're running Healing Grenade because this is where we're going to get our restoration from. And then for aspects, we have On Your Mark. Precision Final Blows will grant you and your allies weapon handling and reload speed. But when you roll, use your dodge, you'll get the max stacks immediately. This makes weapon swapping very, very efficient, which means our DPS will go up a good bit. So next we have Knock 'em Down. This will enhance all of our supers. Blade Barrage has more projectiles. Marksman Golden Gun has increased duration. That doesn't matter though, because you're probably going to be using Celestial Nighthawk anyways. But the most important part, while Radiant, Final Blows with your throwing knife will fully refund the energy back. So you just get infinite knives while you're Radiant. And then Gunpowder Gamble. Gunpowder Gamble is probably just going to kill you more than not, especially if you're not experienced with it. So probably don't run Gunpowder Gamble, although it's very, very good for ad clear, and I don't know if the bug still exists, but if you got your as soon as you got your Gunpowder Gamble, if you threw it immediately, the cooldown would never come into play, so you could just throw them back to back to back to back, as long as you're getting kills with them still. So, I don't know, just a little tip right there. And then for fragments, we're running Ember of Empyrean. This is a must-have. This will keep our restoration radiant buff up with our prioritized solar weapon that we're going to be talking about later. Make sure you have a solar weapon on, or else this won't work. Or it won't work as efficiently, because remember, you don't want to be using your ability just the entire run. If you're a Titan, you can do that, but not as much on Hunter, although it is possible. Ember of Torches, so make you radiant off of your paired melee attacks. Very, very useful. Again, the artifact, I've talked about this in a couple of videos, the artifact gives you some radiant Easy practice of raiding is by getting headshots. But remember, this isn't necessarily for Season of the Wish, even though the guide was made Season of the Wish. Make sure you have this on. Ember of Solace. The base Radiant and Restoration effects will start at 3 seconds. With this mod on, you get 6. So this is just a quality of life one. You don't need this, although it's very, very useful. I would just keep it on just for... sorry about that. I would keep that on just for safekeeping, just so you don't... you throw your healing grenade down, and you miss the 3 seconds by like a second. You throw your knives and you don't get the restoration. You end up dying. That would suck. So I would keep this on anyways. Ember of Siging. Your class ability regenerates faster when you scorch targets. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You don't need this one again, but it's very useful. And then finally, Ember of Beams. Your solar super projectiles have stronger target acquisition. This is really only useful for Blade Barrage. But if you weren't going to run this one, you would run the one that applies more scorch stacks to targets. I don't see it in here immediately, but it's called, Ember of Ashes. More scorch stacks to targets. Means you get your ignitions faster. Pretty good, so. Again, these two are kind of iffy. If you want them, you can have them. If you're good enough to not need them, then you don't need them. But I'm going to run them. This is what the dim load is going to be. There you go. And then for our mod loadout, this is what we're rocking. Got the heavy ammo finders on. Solar Siphon Harmonic Siphon is needed. Heavy-handed will also give us orbs, and then solar mods and time dilation. So if you want to take a screenshot, you can right there. But I'll go into more detail right now. So we're going to be running 2 heavy ammo finders because we should have our super back in all the encounters super fast. That we don't need any of the super generating mods, Power Preservation, the melee one, and the grenade one. One, you're not going to use Ashes to assets anyways because you're using healing grenade. But you could use hands-on. Hands-on would be the one I'd swap in. If you don't one-phase the first boss, which, unless you really fuck it up and you haven't practiced it before, you shouldn't do that. You should one-phase them every time. But if you don't, no big deal. You might want to run hands-on instead to help get your super back for the next encounter. Or, if you don't want to run Assassin's Cowl, you could run Shards of Galanor. The only reason I'm not going to recommend Shards of Galanor for this dungeon, because again, this dungeon is super power crept. The bosses are pretty easy to kill. And even if you don't one-phase it, you should have enough time to get your super back as long as you're still killing stuff and you're not just avoiding them. So that's what I'm running. Harmonic Siphon because we need Orbs of Power for armor charges, and Heavy-Handed does not give enough back-to-back for us to easily keep our armor charges up. So make sure you're running Harmonic Siphon. That's why we're going to have a solar weapon on, which I'll explain in a minute. Onto our arms. I'm running Heavy-Handed. This will help us generate an orb every once in a while. And then Impact Induction. This will just help us give our grenade back faster off of melees because we're using a melee all the time anyways. If you're using Leviathan's Breath, though, take this off, put on Void Loader mod. Void Loader will significantly increase your DPS for Leviathan's Breath. Helps you reload the gun faster. Make sure you put that on for the third encounter. I'll have 2 separate loadouts with this on. So, honestly, I might just leave Void Loader on for the full loadout, and then you can turn it off if you don't want it on. Worst comes to worst, you miss a little bit of grenade recharge. Not a big deal. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to leave that on for now. That might be the dim loadout. For our chestplate, Concussive Dampener. A lot of the enemies in this are AoE. You've got the Knights. Yeah, the final boss, I think, counts as AoE. I don't know. Actually, I might have lied. I don't know. But running Concussive Dampener is usually just your go-to. You're never close enough for melee damage to actually matter for like bosses and stuff like that. And then sniper damage resistance, there's no like, I don't think there's any enemies that are super far away where sniper damage resistance would actually make sense for you to run. So just run Concussive Dampener. If you don't want to run that, you could double stack Arc or Solar here. I know Solar resistance comes out for the Knights shoot out fire, one of the bosses shoots out fire. And I think the rest of the damage is Arc, although the Hobgoblins do Void damage. So you might want to throw in Void damage instead. Or you could throw in all 3. Just say fuck it. You want to play it safe, you don't want to look up what they actually do damage-wise. That's cool. I respect it. And then on the side, you can have a reserve mod, so you can rally with 3 reserves. You don't have to switch all your mods around every time. Do whatever you want. For our legs, triple stacking surges here because, again, this dungeon is power corrupt. You shouldn't need 12 Dragon's Breath shots to kill the boss, right? So, we're going to stack 3 surges here. We're not going to really need scavenger mods. Although if you want to, just sub one out. Not a big deal. You'll lose like 3% of damage, 4%, whatever it is. Not a big deal. Better safe than sorry. And then for our cloak, 2 time dilation mods. Gives us 18 seconds per armor charge. Nothing else here I really think is needed. And I think that's about it for our armor. We're going to be rocking 100 resilience, obviously. I know in most of my videos I don't go over the stats, which honestly I should have. But pretty set in stone. 100 resilience, always. Whatever you want to run is pretty much just up to you. Intellect kind of useless nowadays. If you want your dodge back, go mobility, or go discipline. I'd probably go discipline just for grenade, but up to you. Don't sweat it. Just get 100 resilience. And then for our weapons, always heavy solar weapon on. I'm running Calus Mini Tool. This is my baby. I love this thing. Amit's really good. Adhorative's really good. Bug Out Bag is a good one. Really anything besides like a scout rifle, I think is pretty solid. Or a really shitty SMG. But most SMGs are pretty good, so just make sure you have a solar weapon on. I like Incandescent a lot. Incandescent's really good. But we need this on for our Harmonic Siphon to make orbs, so make sure you have it on. I'm running Scatter Signal. Scatter Signal is by far one of the best fusion rifles in the game. Might be the best. I actually think it is the best. Overflow, Controlled Burst. Don't enhance Controlled Burst. It doesn't give you anything right now. Still bugged, I think. You can also run Riptide. I think that's like it for the first slot. I think there's like a Strand World Drop one that's pretty good too. So just run a fusion rifle. Again, this fusion rifle is very easy to get. So is Riptide. You just play a little bit of Crucible. You can focus it. And then for our damage weapons, first encounter, Dragon's Breath. Second encounter is Add Clear, Fixed Odds. Love this thing. Duality Dungeon if you want to get it. I'm running Field Prep Incandescent. And then for the final boss, I'm running Leviathan's Breath. You don't need the Catalyst, but the Catalyst will give you 3 Void Reserves permanently, which means you don't have to run it ever. You don't have to ever swap for ammo. You don't have to rally for the extra ammo. You will just get it automatically. And you get Archer's Tempo, which means your draw time is significantly increased, which means you're going to get more DPS. And then if you don't want to run Leviathan's Breath, you can run a linear fusion rifle. You got Fire's Contempt, you got Cataclysmic, Taipan's available to everyone. Storm Chaser, which if you're in my Discord, I just uploaded a video for you guys about some good dungeon weapons. Storm Chaser's in there, so go check that out if you're not in my Discord already. But just remember that Surrounded is not going to proc in the final encounter because you're never going to be close enough to the enemies where Surrounded will actually proc. So you want to run something like Frenzy, Vorpal, Bait and Switch. Up to you. Leviathan's Breath is pretty accessible to everyone, though. You should probably have it. And the Catalyst is up to you if you want to get it or not. It's very good. It will help you. But I don't think it's a make and break for E2 phase here. So. Alright. That's a lot of me talking. I think that's about it. I'm going to show you the damage phase examples now. And then after that, that's it. Let me know if you need any help. If I missed anything, it'll be in the comments. Might be in my Discord, description, whatever. It'll be somewhere. I'll make sure it's in the comments at least, though. And if you notice anything, let me know. I respond easier in the Discord. I see it more often. But I do go to the YouTube comments daily if I see a notification. So just keep in mind that YouTube doesn't always notify me. I might miss a comment or two. Forgive me. Alright, I'm done talking. I'm showing you the examples now. Alright, we're here with the phase examples. This is the first encounter. I have 2 I'm going to show you. 2 damage examples I'm going to show you. You can skip the second one if you don't want to see it all, but it's just to show you that even if you fuck up really bad, you can still get this done. So, in one phase, I mean. So first we're going to start off by throwing our healing grenade down, then we're going to throw our melee to get the timer up a little bit. If you want, you can just use your Calus Mini Tool and spray all the enemies down, because you don't necessarily need the invisibility yet. I'm going to start off with getting dark. There's still a glitch that exists where if you jump right in the middle of the 2 of the color that you have, and as soon as you start falling, like half a second after you start falling, if you pop your motes, you can get both of them sometimes. So, didn't get it here, but I've done it in some of my other videos, and I did it on stream a couple times. So, take it as you will. I might have done it in this run, I don't remember, but it's just, you can speed it up a little bit, but really don't like prioritize it. Don't prioritize learning it over just doing the normal encounter. So, yeah, I did it right there. That's cool and all. I just need to do one more dark. So there I get pretty low. Panic pop my healing nade. And then just before we get into the final, just before we get into actual damage phase, make sure you have your armor charges up. This encounter goes by very fast. And if you're not ready for it, if you're not shooting enough ads, if you didn't clear enough ads, and your restoration timer isn't high enough, you could die while trying to deposit the last note. Because remember, the damage phase starts immediately. So, what you should do is, before picking up the final motes, kill all the ads, get your armor charges, or at least have the orbs on the ground to go grab them all with the mote. Then, once you have it all up, you shouldn't need restoration as much. And then you'll go and dunk the last mote, and you'll continue damage phase. So, video might stutter for a second, but it looks like it didn't, so we're good. So, we have a bunch of ads here. The advice I just gave you, I didn't do. So, anyways, we're gonna get into damage phase right here. Unlucky that it sticks to the shield, he puts it up. He usually does put it up immediately. This was just me not thinking. So my damage rotation is going to be Dragon's Breath, Fusion, 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 Dragon's Breath, Fusion, Fusion, Fusion. And so, if you don't have the catalyst, it'll be 4 fusion rifle shots. But just listen for the auto-loading holster reset. So, again, very, very easy damage. Very, very easy health pool. Get a lot of damage off very, very fast. I almost put myself up with Dragon's Breath at the end there. Make sure you watch out for that. It's about 5 ticks when your auto-loading goes off, so it should go spurt, 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 and then, it'll explode after it's done all 5. And then here's my other damage phase. I think this is the shitty one, and you'll see why. So, he's bumping me around. I end up missing a rocket here. The damage phase goes on long enough to where he spawns in goblins, and they end up immunifying him. So, even with all the fuck-ups that I did here, missing shots, not having Radiant, not having Restoration, almost running out of armor charges, missing a rocket, hitting his shield with my Blade Barrage, letting the goblins immunify him, still got the 1 phase. So I just wanted to show you that real quick. It's not a big deal. If you don't 1 phase it, seriously, it's not a big deal. Very easy boss to 2 phase, and you shouldn't do more than 2 phase on that guy anyways, so. As long as you have the right weapons. We are on to the second encounter now. I'm only going to show, maybe 2 or 3 of these because it's super, super repetitive, and I'll just skip to the final 2 big mini-bosses. What I like to do is, I like to start off with my melees and then go into just ad clearing because I want to, I like to play safe at the beginning. You're not going to have a big timer for restoration yet. And then I just start using my LMG for the whole rest of the encounter. That's just how I play it. Play this however you want. This is a complete ad clear encounter. Super, super easy. Just make sure you don't fall in the holes. You don't get killed by the hobgoblins. And besides that, nothing else should really kill you. The hobgoblins are probably the biggest threat, besides maybe the final 2 bosses or falling off the map. So, very, very simple though. Make sure you're standing in the actual light and the dark areas. Make sure you're looking on the edge of your screen. Make sure you get the right motes. Make sure you're looking for Toland or the Ghost or whatever that little guy is, the little white wisp guy. And remember, if he spawns on the ceiling, that means you can do any of the sides, and then it's just like an extra phase you have to do. It sucks. But out of all my runs, I haven't had to do it yet. So maybe they got rid of that. I don't know. I doubt it. Bungie barely touches their old content anyways. So. But yeah, this literally is ad clear. I'm going to skip to the mini-bosses now because I doubt you want to watch all that anyways. It's really, really boring. So for the final bosses, I'm just going to Blade Barrage 1 and LMG the other one. That's about it. The guy likes to run away from me. You'll see this other guy is just running around the map constantly. So I had to chase him down for a little bit. But yeah, you just kill them. Watch out for the thralls. Don't fall in the big hole in the middle. Try not to get too close to them so he doesn't bump you off. That's it. I don't think any hobgoblins spawn in this encounter, so. Very, very simple. And then for the final encounter, we are going to be swapping to Leviathan's Breath here. Make sure you have Void Loader mod on. The arms, it's 3 energy, is in your arms, like I just said. Make sure you have it on. Significantly increases your DPS. Make sure you swap to Void Surges. Try to have the Catalyst. If you don't have it, it's not a big deal. You'll still probably get a 2-phase anyways, but it makes it easier. And then if you want to try Celestial Golden Gun here, don't use Blade Barrage, and then use Marksman Golden Gun. And then as you're falling down the hole to damage phase, swap the Celestial real quick. Pop it, bang, shoot him in the head, and then just continue the rest of the encounter. And if you don't swap back to Assassin's Cowl, just keep in mind that you will have no safety net besides restoration. So just keep that in mind if you want to risk the one phase. Another tip, the 3 little pillars, the light and the dark pillars, they are inaccurate at first. So wait till the encounter actually starts to know what motes you have to get. I don't think it's a bug. I think it's just part of the encounter. So this first arena is very simple, very easy. The most balanced arena out of all of them to get light and dark motes. One of the arenas is like mostly dark and one of them is like mostly light. So this is like the most balanced one. If you can one phase and you don't have to struggle with getting more motes in the other ones. But just get your motes done, deposit them, and then make sure you kill the ogres, because the ogres are super annoying to play against. They will bump you around. But the nice thing on Hunter, if you're using Assassin's Cowl, is that you're invisible. The ogres won't shoot you as much. So you don't actually have to worry about them as much. As long as you're keeping them up, you don't need to kill them immediately. You can kill them later. But just keep it in mind. Ogres suck to play against. They're one of the most annoying enemies in the game. Unstoppable ogres are probably the worst enemy in the game. But, you know, shriekers are pretty bad too. So that should be all 3. Now be careful. If you are... I'm low on special ammo here. I have 6 shots. So what I'm going to do is... I'm going to go around the room, get my armor charges up, get my special ammo up, my radiant, my restoration up, all that. And then just before all that's done, or sorry, when I have all that done, I'm immediately going to pick up my last orb, top off my armor charges, and then go straight down for damage. So I just did all that right there. Add cleared a bunch. All of my buffs are pretty high. I know the radiant restoration is starting to get a little low. It's inevitable though. They're going to get rid of it anyways. And then we're going to start damage. So this is where the target acquisition fragment will be super useful, because the boss, if you decide to start from the back and use a target acquisition, you should be able to still land them all. It'll give you a little more DPS, because then your first couple shots are going to have that weaken if you're using Revitalizing Blast from Season of the Wish. It's an artifact mod, but for any other season, it doesn't really matter. What I like to do is use my heavy-handed on these hobgoblins, because I'll make an orb of power off of it. And remember, there is a cooldown for it. So this is just helping me keep my armor charges up. And that's it, really. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking my time. I've already got 50% of his health down. I could sit AFK for the rest of this encounter as long as I'm in the ring and be completely fine for a 2-phase. So for the rest of this, since I'm out of Leviathan's Breath ammo now, I'm going to be playing with Scatter Signal. I'm going to prioritize killing the hobgoblins, because remember, I'm out of restoration. So right there, I just threw my grenade down and I had it back in time. But if you don't have your grenade back, the hobgoblins are what are going to end up killing you. So prioritize killing all the hobgoblins first. Those 2 are always going to be the last ones. And then what you can do is you can... Sorry, I'm itching my nose. You can play right in front of this little pillar. And then the little blast that he sends up to teleport you back won't ever happen. And then when he teleports up to the final part, you play behind one of these 2 pillars, and just peek him over and over again and shoot him. Be very careful with your Blade Barrage. I was already low here, and I got very lucky that I wasn't left more. If I was left more, I would have blown myself up. Be very careful about that if you get your Blade Barrage back. I got lucky. But yeah, that's it. I'm just fucking around for the rest of this encounter. I don't feel like finishing off the damage, because I usually don't finish out, unless there's a final stand like Warlord's Ruin, I don't finish out the rest of the encounter when I'm recording, just because it's very straightforward. Especially for this encounter where he's already going to be super low anyways. You shouldn't even need Leviathan's Breath to finish him off. You'll get enough heavy ammo for the last encounter anyway, or for the final phase, whatever. But yeah, that's about it. If you end up using a linear, it's the same thing, except you probably get to use your linear for longer than you will swap to another weapon. Just keep in mind that you're gonna still need to keep your restoration up. Assassin's Cowl is what is a nice supplement to your restoration, because you're gonna still get health and invisibility, which means nothing's gonna shoot you. Although if you get too close to enemies, they'll still stomp you, like the bosses, like Unstoppable Ogres and actual bosses and mini bosses, whatever. So, yeah, that's it. If I forgot anything, let me know. If you think something was better, if you think I'm stupid, if you think I did something really dumb, let me know in the comments. It happens. Like when I mentioned that consecration was useless the other day. My bad. That was something stupid. And you guys let me know, so thank you. I appreciate it. Lets me clear it out. But yeah, that's it. I'll have the dim link should be up immediately after the video. Sometimes I forget. A lot of the times I forget. Or sometimes my dim links will be up in my Discord, and when I go and click on it, it'll bring me to a page with nothing on it. And so I have to like re-edit. It's like the link gets changed. It'll be like QLR34 whatever, just like some random a bunch of numbers. And then I save it, and then it gets to the link gets changed. I don't know. All I know is that sometimes the dim links get changed, even though I haven't touched them for like a couple weeks or a month. So let me know if the dim link doesn't work, please. I don't check them all the time. I don't know when it goes bad or if it's something I'm doing on my end. So let me know if the dim links don't work. I have them all still saved. They will be saved forever because I think dim just allows you to have as many loaders as you want. All right, enough yapping. I'm going to show you the outro now. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later. Grasp of Avarice should be out next week. So, bye-bye. Thanks for watching the video. If anything helped, please let me know by leaving a like, comment, or subscribe. In about a week, I'll start the final Dungeon Solo Files guides, which will all be about Grasp of Avarice. And then after that, I should have a video coming out about how to build your own Solo Files loadouts and what to look out for when you're building them, so you don't need to watch Solo Files guides anymore. I also make Tarkov content even though I haven't posted any recently, because the game hasn't been super interesting at the moment, and I might switch over to making some other content soon, so let me know if anything sounds cool. There's a members program if you want to join that as well. It's just for supporting the channel, and you don't get any sort of real benefits. You'll get some badges for the live streams, a cool Discord role, and maybe early access to videos if I post them early enough. Just remember this is a subscription-based model, so please cancel whenever you're done. Alright, well that's it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully, I'll see you around.